Welcome, ladies. Welcome to Lady in Waiting. This is Kathy Washira, and I'm happy to be back to share nuggets of wisdom with you. And my prayer is that you've been doing well. The Lord has kept you. And I hope that some of you are already in good relationships and you're continuing to learn. And I also want to take this opportunity to welcome all our new viewers and our new subscribers. Karibu sana. And if you have not subscribed, kindly subscribe. It is good for the channel. So today we are going to part 2 or episode 2 of how to be a suitable helper. Okay. And the reason why I put episode 2, because this second episode or this second part is might not be might be different. Okay, might be different or might be important in one race and not in another race, might be important in one nation and not another nation, depending on where you're coming from. That is why you need to apply wisdom. Even as I speak, just take what works for you or what goes according to your culture, because what happens in Africa might not matter in America. What matters in America might not matter somewhere in China, So that is why I put it as episode 2, because these are things that can change. They vary from one nation to another. So the first one I want to talk about is, and they're important, I'm not saying they're not important, they're important, okay, is that number one, understand that men are visual. They first see before they engage a conversation, okay? Men see, women feel, because that is why sometimes you can see a woman with a man and you wonder, is she blind? Because it's not us to see, for us is how we feel. So what remember or what matters to us is how a man made us feel when they spoke to us, or when they told us, or when they complimented us, how they made us feel. That is what is important. And I'm not saying that looks don't matter to women, but for men, that is the first thing they see. If you talk to any man, they'll tell you, I saw her walk into a room. They had a vision. Every man has a vision of how they want their wife to look. Every man has a vision. Different. Okay? So don't expect one man to, when one man sees this and likes it, don't expect the other man to also see and like it. But one thing I know is that all men are visual. They first see before they engage or they start a conversation. So it's very, very important that you look good, you look presentable, you look like the way you would want to look, the way you would want to be seen. Let me put it that way. The way you would want to be seen. Looks are important. We look at Ruth chapter 3, and I'm sure I've discussed this. We've spoken about this in other teachings. Naomi tells Ruth, go dress up, look good, because where you're going, there are other women who are like you. They will, it is important that you look good so that you can be picked out amongst you, stand out, so that you can go to the second step, which is to engage you. This person can go to the second step of engaging in a conversation. In Proverbs 31:22, the Bible says that this woman makes tapestry for herself. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Her husband is known at the gates. He sits amongst the elders. You cannot sit amongst the elder if your wife has a certain way that they don't look presentable, because your wife, your wife is you. So it is very, very important as a lady in waiting to be very keen on how you look and how you dress. How you look. How would you want your husband to see you? That, because as you're growing, people should mature. The way you dress at 21, let me not even say 21. 21 can be an adult. How you dress at 16 should not be the way you dress at 25. There has to be some kind of maturity. You should now know better, So decency, and what I'm trying to say is that you have to learn how to dress properly. Dressing properly, dressing decently, covering your intimate, because I'm speaking to ladies who are growing, or who are in who honor Christian values. Dressing properly, dressing decently, covering your intimate places, that your body covered. It is for your husband. You don't need to show it to every person. People don't have to have a preview of how your breasts look, a preview of how your inner thighs look. Nobody needs to see that. Nobody needs to have a preview of how your stomach looks. You don't want, and besides everything, you don't want to attract the wrong people, because remember, all the funny people, all the jokers as I told you, men are visual. Both the good, the bad, and the ugly, they're all visual. So you don't want to waste time attracting the wrong people, because also the wrong people, someone who is just a pervert, someone who just wants to use you, they'll probably get attracted to you because of something that they have seen. Are you getting? So you don't want to show yourself, to show intimate areas, so that you end up attracting all the wrong people. Then now you have to do the work of trying to separate who is serious and who is just who wants to be with me because they saw my breast, because they saw my feet. You don't want to waste that time. You want, when someone is coming to you, they're coming to you because it is you and you're dressed properly. And I'm not saying that when I talk about cover, I'm not saying you dress like an old woman who is in their 80s or 90s, who has to cover themselves with a lot of things because their body can no longer generate heat, warmth, the way it's supposed to be. So they have to cover themselves and dress a long sweater, whatever. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that dress decently. I love the example of the royal family, the British royal family, because that's the one at least I've watched. Those women dress so well, properly, and they are covered, and they look good, and they look proper. I'm not saying we dress like them, but it is just a proof that you don't have to look a certain way to be respected or to get a certain man. Any decent man, and I want you to get this, lady, any serious man, any decent man will not want to be with a lady who he has to compete with other men to keep. Because when you start to expose yourself, you start to attract all kinds of things. Why should you have a wife who, when she leaves the house, you have to follow her because of the way she's dressed, because you don't know who is going to attack her, you don't know who is going to think that she's still looking for something. Ask yourself, anytime you're leaving the house as a lady, ask yourself, what am I looking? What picture am I giving out there? What am I going to attract? What am I going to drag along, even as I'm dressed? So dress properly. Believers, dress properly. Dress properly. Regardless of where you are, regardless of whichever country you come from. Yeah, and I will keep on saying this, just because everybody is doing it doesn't make it right, it doesn't make it proper. Just because everybody is doing it does not make it right, does not make it proper. So do the right thing. Decency. Modesty. Okay? Number 2, learn how to cook. I know this sounds very bad, especially for women who believe that their place is not the kitchen. The kitchen is nobody's place. We are there because we have to eat food. Somebody has to cook. I want you to get this as a woman, that the food is the way to everybody's heart, whether it's your husband, your children, or visitors. There's a way food just opens people's heart. That is why even your first date, or in date you're going to go with a man, most of the time you're going for dinner, you're going for lunch. It opens up, it warms up the place. So it's very, very important for you to learn how to cook. And I'm just saying this because you're going to live in a house and not a restaurant, You're going to live in a house and not a restaurant. Even if you marry a chef, most of the best cooks or chefs in the world, they are men. But even them, when they go home, they appreciate a meal that their wife has cooked. So you have to learn how to cook different things, learn how to cook food, so that your husband doesn't have to look for an excuse to stay outside or go to somebody's house to eat because you don't know how to cook. Everybody must learn how to cook. And I'm not being judgmental here, because I understand that there are people who come from backgrounds of privilege. Maybe when they grew up, everything was done for them, so they don't know how to cook. And also there are people who came from backgrounds which are not privileged, so they only had maybe 1 or 2 kinds of food. So the same thing. Yeah, so but learn how to cook. Now that you know, now that you're here hearing my voice, learn, go get recipes, do it, because food is not just food. Food has a way of warming up people. That is why these women who take people's husbands, the first thing they do is they always call them in their houses and cook for them, to warm them up, so that the conversation can begin. So be such a good cook that your husband does not have to go somewhere else to nobody can hook them with food. Be a good cook. And the reason why I'm saying food is, when you look at the Bible, that's why I'm saying food is not food. All the funny things that happen in the Bible, food was the key. Okay, Eve gave Adam apple. Esau lost his birthright as the first son because of food. He was angry, and the brother was able to provide the food. That's how he lost it. There's an old prophet somewhere in the Second Kings, the same thing. He forgot everything God had told him because he was given food. So food is not food. You have to food can make your husband not come back home. God forbid, it's not your portion. So you must know how to cook food. The Bible says this Proverbs 31 woman, in verse 31, verse 15, she also, chapter 31, she also rises, wakes up early, while it is still night, and provides food for her household and portion for her maid servants. In other words, she's aware of what is being cooked, because even if God has blessed you, maybe you can employ a chef, or maybe the kind of career that you're doing is might not allow you to cook all the time, but you have to know what is being cooked in your house. You have to be able to tell good food. You have to know what your husband likes. You have to know what your children like. So you cannot be just someone who doesn't know anything. That is why some of us are losing, God forbid, women lose their husbands to their servants, to the maids. They're losing their husbands to funny people. Why? Because women sometimes we are so careless. You don't know what is going on, because you don't know how to cook and you're not interested. Listen, even if you're not interested, even if you don't have the time because of a career or whatever it is you're doing, you must learn how to cook. There has to be something that you know. Even if you're going to bring someone to do the cooking, then you must train them how you want your food to be cooked. Okay? So remember, food is not food. Food is not food. Food opens people's hearts. Number 3, be clean. Beginning with yourself. Be clean. Shower. Wear clean clothes. No man wants to work with a wife who's wearing dirty clothes. You're the image of your husband. Okay? So start with yourself. There's no use of cleaning your house if you yourself are dirty. Clean, look good. Shower. Smell good. There are lotions, there are perfumes out there that are not so expensive, that most people can afford. Let me put it that way. So there's always something you can use. Secondly, in the area of cleanliness and organization, learn how to clean a house, learn how to organize a house. You are the homemaker. And it's not that you're not the homemaker because it's a punishment or because you're a woman. God has graced women with the gift of homemaking and multitasking. It's a gift that we have. It's a gift that we just have naturally. It's a woman who will know this color. Men sometimes can't even tell the difference between colors. We know by the grace of God. So start practicing now in that your house, where you're living now. Practice now. You have to learn how to organize things, get things in programs. No, get things organized. Let me tell you something about men. Men hate disorganization. Even the roughest looking man hates a disorganized house and disorganized family, to the point that a man can even avoid coming home just because of the chaos that he knows is going to meet at the door. So please begin now. As pastors, sometimes we see things and you wonder, how did this one end up here? So women, work on that. Okay? Number 4, train your mouth. Men have something called an ego. And if you crush it, that's it. Train your mouth. I'm saying this because I'm someone who had to learn how to train my mouth. My mouth sometimes goes ahead of me. And I had to learn how to put speed bumps between what I'm thinking and what I'm going to say. Okay? So train your mouth. Train your mouth. Because as I said, men have something called an ego. An ego is simply a person's sense of self-importance. Them as the men, as the leaders, as the head of the house, there's something God put in them, and I'm going to tell you why it is not a bad thing. Okay? It's an opinion of oneself. Okay? This ego is not bad. It's very good, because that is what makes them always feel, gives them this, initiates their protective nature, to protect their family, to defend their family. There's a way you cannot just talk to somebody's wife. The man, you will see the man. That is it. So you can't, that protectiveness and defensiveness of the male nature, that is intertwined inside that ego. So you can't, as a woman, you can't bring it down by your words. And you know, words are very, very powerful. And that's why I'm saying train your mouth. Okay? Proverbs 31:11-12, the Bible says, the heart of a husband safely trusts her. She does him good and not evil all the days of her life. Sometimes, that's what I'm saying, you train your mouth. Sometimes things happen in marriage. You can even find maybe you make more money than him. It doesn't matter who makes money. It is your money. Sometimes you might have a problem. Sometimes one thing or another. But if you're the kind of woman who just opens your mouth to speak and you insult him and you say this, even if you have a right to, even if an opportunity has presented itself to speak something contrary, remember, anything that makes him feel less, that is something that you need to train yourself not to say it. Or even if you are to say it in a dignified, private way. Don't embarrass a man, because there are things women we take, and I don't know why God allows us to be able sometimes to take some things, but you can't do it with a man. You must protect his ego. You must protect that thing that gives him the importance, the self-importance as a man, as the leader of the home, as the head of the home, as the defender of the home, as the protector of the home. You must leave it there, because if you don't do it there, then anybody will come to your house. When you see people interfering with other people's family and marriages, just know that there is a man there who has been brought down, so anybody feels they can walk in and walk out the way they want. So protect him. The Bible says in Proverbs 31:26-27, she opens her mouth with wisdom, correct application of knowledge. In her tongue is the law of kindness. She watches over the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Gossip. Please work on gossip. You cannot be a gossiper. If you enter marriage as a gossiper, most likely that marriage is going to be trouble. Gossiper. Work on your mouth. Listen, nobody... Do you know how bad it is for something to happen in your house? You go and say it. Then your husband hears it from somewhere and they wonder, this thing happened in my house. So who took this issue? Because you went and told another gossiper, and the gossiper went and told someone, and the thing came back. Gossip. Work on your mouth. Work on your mouth. Train. Let me use the word train. Train your mouth to learn how to be discreet, to learn how to keep issues, to know where to speak and where not to speak. And I'm not saying that when something bad is happening, for example, like an you're being abused or something in a marriage, that one, even if it's that, then there are places, there are proper channels to channel it. Don't be the town ghost. Don't be the one who's saying, because if you become that, then your husband can't trust you. That is why there are some men who hide even things from their wives. They get money, they hide, because when they tell you, you'll go and tell all your relatives come. They are coming home, they are coming because you told them your husband took a loan. So everybody's there. Listen, you must learn how to train your mouth. Start now, so that when you enter there, it becomes easy. Number 5, your relationship with God. Your relationship with God must be intact. There is a place in the human spirit where only God can feel. No man can feel it for you. There is no love. There is no man, the best husband, cannot feel it. And for us women, it becomes harder because we are emotionally built. So sometimes when you're in that place, we feel that it is the man who can fill that void. There is a void in you that only God can fill. And that is why your relationship with God is paramount. It's very, very important, so that you know there are things that when you start to feel, I go back to the presence of God. So that you don't stress somebody's son. They don't know. They're wondering why you're clicking in the house, you're this, that. And they have nothing to do with it. And remember also, this person is a human being. So there's only so much he can help you with, or he can fill you with. And remember, even him sometimes at that time, he has his own problems. Men, when sometimes when they're going through their things, they will just keep quiet or separate, But for us women, because we're emotional, we feel like we need to deal with it, we need to verbalize it. Learn to verbalize those things in the presence of God. That is why your spiritual relationship is very, very important. Paramount. Very, very important. Very, very important. So I think with those 5 things that I said, these things might vary depending on where you come from. Okay, some of them might vary, some might not vary, So number 1, remember, men are visual. How do you want to see you? The way you'd want him to see you, dress like that. Okay? Decency, modesty. It does not mean you dress like just be decent. Learn how to cook. As I said, food is not just food. Food is very powerful. Okay, so every person must learn how to cook food. I had to learn how to cook food that I didn't know how to cook where I came from. So now I can cook them. I had to learn because I don't want him to go and look for them outside there. Number 3, be clean and organized. You will need it for your home. Even those maids that you're going to employ, you need to direct them. Otherwise, once they realize you're dirty and disorganized, that's why sometimes you wonder, you are coming to your house, you're wondering, was this house really clean? Because even them now, they know that you're a dirty person. You don't care, you know. So be clean and organized. Work on that. Train your mouth. This mouth can build you. You can use it to build your marriage, and you can use it the same way to destroy your own marriage. Number 5, your relationship with God is of great importance. And my prayer is that you who is in waiting, you have an opportunity to do all these things. Some of these things, many women have to learn the hard way. They have to go through post-marital counseling to do these things. Sometimes it destroys them. Women have lost their husbands to other women because that woman just called her with food. Some of them to the housemaids that they've employed. You know, it opened a door for the husband to start having a conversation with the maid, telling the maid, cook for me that thing you cooked yesterday. Such conversation should never happen in your house if you're in your position, you know. So my prayer is that you have an opportunity to correct all these things. Go to the internet, learn new recipes. Learn if you're courting with a man and you're probably going to get married, start learning the kind of food that he likes. Listen to his conversations. If you realize he likes a certain thing, start learning how to cook it. You know, be his number 1 chef. In the same way, he should also be your number. But I'm not talking to men, I'm talking to ladies. Otherwise, may God bless you. May the Lord keep you. May He continue to give you wisdom. If you have any question, kindly ask me. If you have any comment, just comment. If there's something that you want me to talk about and I'm able to talk about it, kindly also just write it down and I'll do it. Otherwise, the Lord bless you, and kindly subscribe and share where possible. God bless you.